But yeah, I mean, Elnuks just kind of like, effectively, they're not really meant to be an alternate win condition. It's more like it's more like they're like fearsome tech. Because like the only thing you can really do is develop multiple units. Tempo is simply put in any card game as controlling the pace of the game, usually different based on the different types of decks you face. Yeah. Controlling the pace of the game. Okay, so here's Ionia Shadow Isles, the classic deck. I think Bull Elnuk is actually like a keep in the opening hand here. I guess it's kind of like almost like a worse Big Chungus. Sentry just a kick. Is Get Excited a keep? Get Excited doesn't really feel like a keep either. It's like, it's so necessary, but it's also so like non-helpful. It's like, Get Excited also feels quite a bit worse, by the way, without the discard package, because it's not just Rummage feeding off of it, but Get Excited as well. So we nut into 2 sentries, which is hilarious, because we're against a deck that probably won't let us have them ever die. Hard mull for troop. That's kind of what I have in mind, yeah.
These old eyes still see far and clear.
So here's an interesting question. Odds versus evens. Now that we all have played the game a lot and have a better understanding of meta, in this current meta, would you rather be playing on odds or evens? Attacking on odds or evens. You just kill my sentry? Sweet. And it obviously depends on your deck, but I would say it's, in general, better to be on evens, right? I think it's actually, like, not even close. Like, I mean, okay, let's look at, like, Elusive. Elusive is a deck, yeah, I mean, if you're running Zed, you don't mind attacking odds, but even like, if you're not running Zed, you're, like, Conspirator on 2, Lifeblood on 4, right? So you kind of want evens there, even, right? Because we have Mystic Shot to deal with this one, I actually... Oh, this is actually weird. I guess we just play Sentry here, then.
Nothing escapes my watch.
Because I actually don't want to play Archer yet. I'll probably have a better Archer. Evens just because of the turn 3 develop into turn 4 attack. Fiora want odds, and Heimer wants odds. Does Heimer want odds? Like, here's the thing, though. I mean, Heimer needs to stabilize, and stabilizing means not letting the opponent have evens. Don't you just not want to give up evens? You don't want to nut out on turn 5? You don't need to attack on 5 with Heimer. I don't think that's necessary at all. I think that just because most decks want evens, everyone wants evens. Because stopping your opponent from having evens is just more important. That's the thing about evens and odds. It's because, you know, what an entire meta will want one or the other, kind of. Because even if your deck doesn't really want odds, you really, really don't want your opponent to have evens. Or, sorry, even if your entire deck doesn't really want evens, you don't want to let your opponent have it. So everyone wants evens. Now, like, relatively, then, you know, we can say, like, Heimer might maybe want odds, but not, like, even then, I think it's fairly minor, right? What's the win rate of Mist Wraith when it goes second instead of first? Probably substantially higher. I think. It depends on the deck, though. Heimer's odds, Zed is odds, Old Spider's odds, New Spider's is evens. Yeah, of course. It will depend on the deck. I think, in general, though, it's an evens meta. I don't think it depends on the deck that much. Like, if I'm Heimer against Fearsome, I would definitely rather be on evens, because my benefit of odds is going to be smaller than my opponent's benefits of evens, no matter what. Which I think, I mean, I think in the notion of it depends on the deck is definitely true, but from a general meta standpoint, usually it's not going to depend on a deck. Usually it's like, this is a meta we're on, like, in high percent of cases, like 80 or 90% of cases, you just want to be even. Because even if you're not benefiting from it, you're blocking it. Right? What is odds evens? Just the turn you're attacking on.
The only danger.
You actually just raise them if you're on odds with Heimer and you nut out. I mean, really? So it's like, you drop Heimer on 5, you play like Flash into something else, or like double Flash if you're nutting. Like, Flash is really, really good with Heimer. It seems really difficult for that to be worth it overall, though. Should play to helping your condition for odds. Yeah. Flash Heimer turn is actually dumb. So there does exist a very interesting concept in deck building, which is effectively the idea of helping your like bad case scenarios, right?
In Avarosa's name.
I'll do this later. Right? Basically, anything that skews your win rate percentage. By the way, win rate percentage is kind of the only metric that could possibly matter from a player/builder standpoint. Now, from a net decker standpoint, obviously you're going to want a lot of other metrics, as I like to go on about, because win rate is kind of like a statistics meme. However, basically the idea is when you're looking at like bump win rate percentage, you're better off helping like bad case scenarios than good case scenarios. Because anything that boosts win rate is going to boost it by a function of the amount of games you're losing in that position, right? And what that means is that when you have something like a meta where your evens win rate is potentially skewed by up to like 10%. I mean, and I say 10% of like the difference between 50 as opposed to, you know, the net difference win and loss. That would be 55-45. But I mean, it could be as high as like 60-40. And in a situation like that, if it's actually like high, there's a really big deck building incentive to basically like skew a bit more help into your odds matchups, right? If that makes sense. Wow, I got an attack. Nice. Just watch your iterative design video. Loved it and hope you do more stuff like that in the future. Yeah, I probably won't do a lot of like game design stuff right now. To be perfectly honest, as much as I like it and as much as you do, there's not a ton of just general demand. But yeah, I mean, I'll do more of that kind of thing in the future for sure. Please add mulligans to decks on website. I think mulligans are tricky. I'm trying to figure out like what I would feel like a good mulligan guide would end up looking like. So we've got 2 out of 8 Ezreal. I don't know, it's kind of too important to get excited here. He's already used 1 mark, so I don't think this is super punishable. If we do double get excited, then Thermo Beam is doing 1, which is useless. I mean, Bull Elnuk is actually a good card here. I don't know, 4 mana 4/5 is pretty premium. The question is, what is the other get excited target? See, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. Am I discarding Icefield Archer? Am I discarding Bull Elnuk? I feel like discarding Bull Elnuk is kind of a big trap here. It's kind of weird. I think it's a little bit harder for Icefield Archer to hit reliable value compared to Bull Elnuk. It's pretty close between them. Wow, he actually has Mark. Is this Glimpse versus Rasa? He's used 1 Glimpse, 1 Mark. Heimer is currently best deck in the game with Karma. Yeah, I think Heimer Karma is fairly good. Squeaks, can you send me your Heimer Karma list? Because I do think that Heimer is not a weak concept. You think Heimer is like an inevitable meta king? It's Kempata's list? Okay. Sure, sounds good. Because I'd love to pull it up here. I've actually, like... Heimer is, like, very solid to me. I feel like an optimized Heimer list has to be at least tier 2. I would be surprised if I was saying it's tier 1. Tier 1 would definitely surprise me. But, I mean, I haven't seen the list. Heimer decks, when they draw the Heimer are dumb. They only lose to Hyper not draws. I think it's tier 2. Yeah, I agree, Precipic. Heimer feels very tier 2 to me. It feels like it has just like... I feel like it's impossible to supplement the reliability that a tier 1 deck needs with Heimer. I feel like that's just undoable, actually. Like, there's just not really a way to make that concept reliable, I guess.
Winter take you.
Heimer deck is a float deck. So I really appreciate your YouTube vids and your streams. I think it has contributed to my success in getting going in the game. Makes me motivated at rank 2. I'll donate or sub soon, thanks. Yeah, no problem, man. I'm glad you're getting something out of it. It's kind of like the top get excited I'm hitting, isn't it? What is he on right now? Like, what the hell is that float? 5 mana left. What the heck? Kind of reeks of second glimpse. I don't want to open get excited. Open get excited here is just so spooky. Reeks of Hecarim. I gotta keep my Hecarim blocker up, actually. Like that's a very, very suspect pass there. 3rd mark? Oh right, mark. Yeah, sure. That's fine. I'm down with this. So now Withering Wail can effectively you can use Get Excited here. I've kind of stopped playing around Withering Wail in this deck because most versions have like cut it out completely or only run 1. I mean, Get Excited to generate like a 3/3 is pretty premium here, I guess. I don't know, keeping up the mana is so important too. Let's just do this. Actually, I think we're gonna have to get a nut with Ezreal soon, honestly. We're gonna have to go off pretty soon here. I think I'll just burn 1 mana. That's fine. I've played a lot of elusives, fearsome spiders, swim spiders, Ash, and nothing felt as strong as this deck. I just always have an answer, it feels like. Maybe it's just current position in the meta. Oh, the Ezreal list? Yeah, it's a good deck.
There it is.
Did you send the... Oh, yeah. I've got the link here. Nice. Thanks, Squeaks. Alright, I'll put this up on stream after this game. We should be looking for a closeout soon. It looks like he's on a clunked up hand, which makes me feel pretty good. But, I mean, we'll see. Like, we are at 7, anything can happen. Playing this deck without Entreat is awful. Really? I quite dislike Entreat here. It's close. But I think Entreat's like kind of a meme. Entreat is a psychological card. I don't... The like net win rate flip that Entreat provides to the deck, I think is actually abysmally low. I mean, if I take the Static Shock on the stack here, then it's just basically opens me up to potentially more options from the attack. So this looks good. And I mean, I'm still safe against like Glimpse as well. So our Ezreal will take a flip here. The thing about Ezreal decks is you're not really in a hurry to get your Ezreal off. Like he'll level when he levels, you know? So now all of a sudden, see, now this is weird. What are we discarding here? Because everything is valuable draw, and clouds are actually important finisher, and we don't have mana for everything else. So I think it's Static Shock that we discard, or maybe Chump Lump. I think I have enough draw off of the one progress day, likely. Although if I don't find Ezreal, like maybe I could regret this. So he needs basically like third mark. I'm opening him up to third mark, which is, I think, a little too unnecessary here. Harsh Winds is probably safer, just because we're in a very dominant position. And even though, like, third mark is super unlikely, I shouldn't be taking risks at all. Skip block. Yeah, skip block is an option there, too. But yeah, that was a bit loose of me. There's kind of, like, not really enough of a reason to make a play like that. And here's kind of the awkward thing, which is, like, you know... Now it's like, I sort of wish I had the Static Shock. I mean, I've got enough stall tools that I'm not really worried. And eventually he'll concede that he will just have to Rasa as a 7-5. Usually that happens right now. Oh, okay. I guess I'll just pass here. If he drops a Ross as a 7-5 here, then I'm ready to go in with Archer. And that's fine. Ezreal levels don't matter until they do. It's never moderately important. It's either irrelevant or game losing. Ezreal levels? Well, I mean, Entry doesn't level Ezreal. Entry draws Progress Day? Why would you say it's bad? We don't run Heimer in this deck. We don't want to run Heimer. I want to try this Elnuk Ezreal deck. I think I will say one of the things about this deck is like if you're taking the Elnuk direction, I feel like Heimer ends up maybe making a bit more sense. I don't know, it's weird because on one hand it's probably the opposite, but it's like I think at its core this deck really doesn't want to be fighting for the board. Moo. That's worth a Braum Wave. Honestly, I don't like using Braum Wave. Braum Wave is actually really toxic, by the way. This is like the most toxic emote. But sometimes you just gotta do a Braum Wave. That's fine. It's only for select scenarios. Don't overuse this one. Don't overuse this one.
A true Freljordian welcome.
Braum Wave is super toxic. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, obviously anything can be toxic, but the Braum Wave is basically the only one that I think I would just never use. Except at the start of the game when you recognize someone. That's when you can use it. Any other situation, the other 5 emotes are actually all fine. Like even like the Darius facepalm, even when you're using that on the opponent's misplays, that's fine. The Braum Wave is super toxic. Like, don't use the fucking Braum Wave, dude. It's actually just rude. I mean, we could Harsh Winds to not let him Rasa, I guess. I don't know. Do I care if he Rasas? He'll Rasa on defense anyway. I definitely sort of don't care. Whatever. What if you brow him to say hello? Oh, well, at the start of the game, it's fine. Which emote tilts you the most? The brow is toxic when they do it, when they play good shit near the end. But I don't like the Darius, as I find people spam Darius when they think you misplayed. I've never actually, like, I've always seen Darius be like my own misplay. Deny and Thermobeam is super awkward together. Oh, for the list. Whose list is it again? It's not, I forget his name. I know the guy. It's, Capata. I don't actually know Capata. What's Capata's background? That's a clunky hand, my guy. It's a choked up hand, my friend. Yeah. I mean, if he Rosas, that means he doesn't have Vengeance. So I think we're good for a big Alpha Strike here, as they say. Do people say that? That's technically a term in Magic, but I don't know if anybody actually says that. It feels kind of like... Something about it feels cringy. I can't quite put my finger on it, though. They say alpha? Yeah. I mean, this dude's thinking to himself, he's like, oh, it's fine, I can take a bit of damage. Unbeknownst to him, though, he's actually already dead. Like that one anime meme. Alpha Strike is prevalent in Mech Warrior games. I don't actually know what Mech Warrior is. Is the Shen emote for paying respect or for bragging? It's mostly paying respect. Alright. Goodbye, my friend. Here, drop this Rasa on me, actually. This is great. So now I'll do the Shen emote, and then he'll drop the Rasa. The trick is when you have the counterplay in hand, you emote first, so that when they play their card, basically when they play the card, then they emote back. You trap someone into doing BM by getting them to counter BM what they think is your initial BM, and then you slay them, right? It's very, very important, because that's the only way you can rid the ladder of toxicity, by punishing BMers, by baiting the BM when of course you have the answer. Right? And by doing this, we're making the ladder a much less toxic place for all of us. So, he actually doesn't have Rasa. That's tilting, dude. Come on, man. Where's the Rasa? God damn it. Shadow Isles never doesn't have Rasa. Then you've become the very monster you've sworn to destroy. Aren't you just BMing then? No, I'm like, okay, it's like Batman. I'm basically like the Batman of the BM meta. It's like, yes, of course, it's technically committing crimes, but I'm doing it for the greater good, right? I'm seeing if there's BMers and then punishing them out. Vigilantism? Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. Yeah, me too, dude. Goodbye, friend. Wait, that's an Elnuk. That's not a mushroom. Sorry, I meant to drag a mushroom. Yeah, I'm gonna be right back.